What's up, fellas? In today's video, we're going to be talking about Giannis. We're going to be talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. And this is a team that's struggling right now. They're not playing all that well. Jrue Holiday's been missing some games. And this is not necessarily my opinion. But sometimes I like to do videos like this where I kind of make the case for something. And in this video, I'm going to be arguing and I'm going to be making the case that Giannis made a mistake by signing an extension with Milwaukee. The difficulties they're going to have really putting a competitive high-level championship roster around him for the length of his current contract. That's not necessarily my opinion fully, but I'm going to be making that case in today's video. But quickly before we get started, if you enjoy content like this, then consider subscribing. If you're new here, what's up? My name is Tucker. I upload NBA content on this channel every single day, twice a day. So it's the most consistent NBA content across all of YouTube. You can also leave a like rating on the video as well if you're enjoying it. And if you want to check out various socials for me, those are in a link tree down in the description below. With those things said, let's talk about Giannis. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. So as I said, they're not playing incredibly well right now. There are certainly issues within this roster. And I think the ultimate issue is depth. They have Giannis, they have Chris Middleton. Those two guys have been there for a while, and they've kind of tried to mix and match some pieces and find value where they could, but they were always kind of looking for a true third guy. Eric Bledsoe, Brook Lopez, those guys were never true, third options for this group, which is why they were so aggressive in going out to get Jrue Holiday this season, who, by the way, has been really good for them and has had some injury issues, but when he's played, has been fantastic. And the problem that has now created is, even though they didn't necessarily give up a ton of depth in terms of players in exchange for Jrue Holiday, it's limited some of their depth because now like Donte DiVincenzo is like the fourth best player on the roster, Brook Lopez, whoever you want to make that case for. But it also has limited their ability to kind of put a competent roster around Giannis moving forward because it's limited the amount of draft picks that they have available for a player in Jrue Holiday that, yes, is very good, but isn't necessarily like a star. Like, I don't necessarily think you can call this like a true like big three. We can debate that another time. And is a free agent this offseason, assuming he opts out of his contract, we'll have to pay him, whatever the case may be. So assuming that they do re-sign Jrue Holiday in free agency, which seems incredibly likely. I don't know why Holiday would want to go anywhere else other than Milwaukee. Seems like a great situation for him, and of course the Bucks will be incredibly motivated to re-sign him. More than likely he'll be getting the max, and they'll be locked into those three guys moving forward because, Holiday has all the leverage. He knows that they just paid 3 first-round picks and pick swaps in order to get him, and he knows he can ask for the max, and the Bucks will be like, we can't lose you. Here's the max, take it. And if that's the case, it's nice to have those three guys. Like, I don't want to downplay, a back-to-back MVP and two consistent all-star level guys. But in terms of shot creation and, perimeter creativity, is that enough to really push you towards a title when you consider that the rest of the depth is not going to be great? Like, unless there's significant development from Donte DiVincenzo, who I like as a player, by the way, but like, I don't know if I want that to be like the fourth guy that I'm really counting. I don't know. Like, it's just going to be tough to really count on someone like that. The front court depth isn't great. Like, Lopez is fine. And then, like I said, like, you don't have the picks to really maneuver here. And when you look at the roster in the long term and you just pull up their basketball reference sheet and you look at it and you just kind of pencil in a Jrue Holiday extension, it really is an incredibly rigid roster. Like I said, it's going to be Middleton, it's going to be Holiday, it's going to be Giannis. Maybe there's some mobility there with a Lopez expiring down the road or trading DiVincenzo, or once you get access to more first-round picks down the road. But it really is an incredibly rigid roster, and it's one that isn't necessarily young either. Of course, Giannis is young, but Middleton and Holiday will be in their 30s before you know it. And of course, they can still be really good players, but we've seen guys like Kemba Walker completely fall off a cliff once they do get into their 30s. Now, obviously, those guys both have significantly more size and rely less on athleticism than Kemba did at any point in his career. But it's just a bit concerning that, right now I think they're treading water as a contender. And I think that they're absolutely a team that could win the title this year or next year. But as soon as we start to get some slippage from Middleton or from Jrue Holiday, I think that, it's possible they start to go underneath that contender status, which, if you're looking specifically at the situation of Giannis, is exactly the opposite of what he ever wanted. The whole reason he wanted to re-sign in Milwaukee was because he wanted to contend for a title, and they convinced him that they were going to do everything that they could to do that, and it was the best situation in which he could win a title. And I think you could make the argument that that simply isn't the case, and it wasn't the case when he signed the extension. It's not just now that the Bucks are struggling that this becomes a pertinent conversation, because when you look at some of the other options, that Giannis would have had in free agency in 2021, there are certainly some enticing ones. Miami, Dallas, and Toronto are the three big ones because they all had significant enough cap space to go out and get Giannis. And in the case of Miami, as well as Dallas, there's already like proven star power there. Of course, Toronto has, Kyle Lowry, and they have Pascal Siakam, and they have OG, they have Van Fleet, but they don't have a player on the level of like Luka or Jimmy Butler. So let's just kind of go through those one by one. So Miami, Giannis can go there, and he knows that it's a competent organization. This is an organization that under Pat Riley has had a long, long history of success of putting together teams that are capable of winning titles. They went to the finals last year. Of course, you have the Big Three era. You have the era in which, Dwayne Wade and Shaq were, they won a title. And just consistently, it's one of the most well-run organizations in the entire league. And you can go there and assuming, they keep all the pieces and they don't have to dump anybody salary-wise. You show up, you've got Jimmy Butler, who is a guy that can, lead your team to the finals, clearly. Bam, who's one of the best bigs in the entire league. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, if they can re-sign him. All these different options that create a lineup that, at certain points might struggle spacing-wise, but nobody's going to be able to score on those guys. If you have Giannis, Bam, and Jimmy Butler, your team's going to be averaging 90 points a game. So that's such an intriguing fit, not only with the fact that you have Butler, who's the proven guy, but then you're going there with Bam, who, yes, maybe the fit might be a little bit odd sometimes, but those two guys can grow together because they are still young, whereas in Milwaukee, it's like, we have to compete now, concerning the age of Holiday and Middleton. And there's certainly a contrast there in Miami, especially if they do keep Tyler Hero, with a team that can grow, that has future assets, that can make different moves down the road to really position themselves well, with Giannis being at the center of everything. And then you go to Dallas and you say, okay, Porzingis might not be playing extremely well. He's got some injury issues, whatever the case may be. But if you go to Dallas, it's Luka, Giannis, Porzingis, and that trio has a significantly higher ceiling than the trio Milwaukee currently does. And again, just like Miami, there's room to grow. They can level up. They can continue to, make different changes in the roster. And Dallas is another team, not necessarily on the level of Miami, but is another team that has shown an ability to continue to put together quality rosters, to make the correct decisions in the front office, and most notably, bring in top-tier, high-quality talent, as evidenced by Luka and Porzingis. Giannis goes there. That's a great situation. Then you can go to Toronto, which I think has a legitimate argument as the best organization in the league in the last 5 years when it comes to talent evaluation, when it comes to talent development, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to, creating a roster that really works well together. I think Toronto has a legitimate argument as the best franchise, the best organization in the league in that department, and he could go there. And the immediate pieces are a little bit more messy. I'm not a huge Siakam guy. Kyle Lowry is a free agent. Van Fleet is a really good player. OG is a really good player, but there's not necessarily the upper tier star power there. But there is also, going along with that, more mobility with some of the young players that they have, some of the assets they have, all their draft picks moving forward. And when you compare those three situations, you could make the case that Milwaukee, if you're just grading them and starting at zero, there's no loyalty, there's no anything, and Giannis just picks one of those places, with the money part put aside, Milwaukee is the fourth best option out of those four. You could absolutely make that argument. Now, there, of course, are other factors that come into play. Giannis wanted to be loyal. Making $250 million on this next contract is also pretty nice. Like, there are a lot of other factors here, but strictly from a basketball standpoint, the argument is pretty easy to make that it's a mistake. And I know that, some of the cases that I'm making for these other three teams are like, oh, well, they have their draft picks, whereas Milwaukee doesn't. And the reason Milwaukee doesn't is because they went out and got their third guy in Drew Holiday. But the thing is, if he had just waited and, gone to one of these teams in 2021 and not signed that extension, then he would already be showing up to a team that has a big three, specifically in Miami and Dallas, and all of their picks. So right there, that already creates a better situation because you don't have to trade for the third guy. The third guy is already there once you show up, and you have all your picks, and you have an organization in both Dallas and Miami and Toronto that has shown a better ability over the years. Over the last 20 years in the NBA, those three franchises have done a better job of building championship caliber teams and consistent quality rosters than Milwaukee has shown throughout the time that Giannis has been there. They've built a nice team, and they've built a team that certainly could compete, but they're not on the same organizational level as those other 3 teams. So you absolutely could make the case that Giannis made a mistake by signing the extension. And who knows, maybe they win the title this year, maybe they win a couple of titles during this contract, and someone looks back at this video 4 years from now and thinks that I'm an absolute idiot. But as I said in the beginning, I'm just kind of making the case. This isn't necessarily my opinion. And I think the case is pretty easy to make. And when the case is this easy to make, I would be nervous if I was Giannis. And I'd be nervous, be thinking, man, did I make a mistake? And I think that mentally it is something that could potentially affect you. We've seen some free throw issues from him at times, and you're sitting there thinking like, okay, it's nice that I have the security and I'm locked in, but did I make a mistake? I think you could absolutely make the argument that Giannis made a mistake. But yeah, that's going to be the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, check out more videos from me with the boxes on screen as well as on the channel as a whole. You can also leave a like rating on the video as well if you enjoy it. And you can check me out at various socials at the bottom of the screen and a link tree down in the description below. As I said in the beginning, my name is Tucker. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.